Hey everyone, welcome to today's live stream. We are working on finishing up a bunch of tasks on the van, so I've got a little cheat sheet here on what we're going to do. So first thing we're going to do, upholster the passenger wall panel seam. We're going to finish the passenger sound dampening and insulation, and then we're going to install riv nuts for the bed system. Then later on today, I'm going to cut to size the passenger bed support panel and then trim the middle floor section so that when we put the lawn sill flooring in, we'll actually have a nice transition. All right, so what the heck does all that mean? Well, let's hop in the van. I'll point out a couple of things and we'll get started with what we're going to work on today. So as we hop in the van, we have two major things. This panel right here is, this is a process I'm putting together to create a simple bed system. So this is 1/2 inch Baltic birch, is extremely strong. And over here we have 2 riv nuts. So these are 5/16-18 riv nuts. And then we have 2 here. So in a Ford Transit, you have these holes on the side of the van, and when I did the Adventure Wagon install, we used these to put in the structure for the A-frame is what they call it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work on getting this side prepped for where this side is at currently. So this side over here, the panel is completely cut out. I've got to duplicate this panel. It's a mirrored image, so this is the same exact as it is on this side. So not only do we have 2 holes here, so the what we're going to be using is essentially like the IKEA bed style framing system for this. So let me see if I can get an example and put in the van. Before we do that, let's hop over to some photos. So if we hop over here, let's get you caught up to speed on what has been going on. So right here we have the upholstered wall panels, and just to give you an idea of something that might help you as a DIYer, if you're doing this solo, you need some extra hands. These zip wall poles, I got them from Lowe's, and I have about, one of them broke, but I have, I guess, 7 now instead of 8. But these guys are awesome. They help me hold in the cedar ceiling panel as I do each one and then glue those in. They also help out just, pushing an upholstered panel so it's not shifting on you, and you can get these holes pre-drilled. As I was talking yesterday, the top of the Ford Transit, on that top section, is a different steel. I believe it's called boron steel, and it's extremely difficult to drill through. And you need to have a pilot bit and then a bigger drill bit to drill the hole. So it takes some time, but it's just what you have to do if you want to actually drill panels into or mount them into that steel. Now the top piece up here, this was fine because that is our AVC rig trim bracket that we bought, and we just sheet metal screwed right into that. The screws I'm using, these are 1-inch stainless steel painted black screws. So they look really nice. They're stainless steel, so we don't have to worry about corrosion or anything like that. So we went ahead and put those panels in on the left side. And then down here, let's move into this panel that we're actually going to finish today and make sure we get it installed. We're just prepping everything so we can copy to the other side. So we're measuring 3 or 4 times and then we're cutting once. So what I did, let's see, here's a good photo. So here's the wall panel after a bunch of modification has been done to it. The first thing you do when you get a wall panel is you need to install the window first. Somebody asked me, do I install the panel and then kind of go from the outside to the inside, or the inside to the outside. So what I do is I first install the CRL ADB 1033 window. That's the awning style window. So it's not the slider. So the window gets installed, and then there's this foam trim ring. You can actually see it in the van right now. You can see it up there on the upper right-hand side. Here, I'll look at it right there. So that right there is the foam trim ring. So that foam trim ring, that gets placed over the window, and then you actually need to remove the window, reinstall the foam trim ring. This is all covered in a video on the channel. And then what I do is I actually come back here, and then I trace out from the outside of the van to the inside, and that trace is what, on the inside of this foam trim ring, that's what gives me my profile to cut out for the panel. So it's a little complicated, but it's just kind of what you have to do. What's nice about the AVC panels is they have these bolt holes up here. So if I can zoom in, you see these openings. So this is for their cabinet system or access to these pre-threaded holes in a Ford Transit. You can use these for a number of different things. You can put L-track on them. You can. I'm actually going to use it for a shelf mounting location for John and Susan's build, which this is John and Susan's build. So I'm going to keep those open. I'll upholster around them, and then those will be exposed so that we can access them. And then this wall panel that you see here, the next step that we did was we needed to identify these two holes, these locations here, and then over here on the right side. So this left side and this right side. Now, we did that because if we look at the left one, this is the location of where the two rib nuts are going to go to hold the board right here on the left-hand side. So you see, that's we're holding those. Then this one is the one that's on the right-hand side. Now, we did that. And so those, we're just locating those. Now you need this piece of tape because it's hard to find where these holes are. So pre-measuring to get a rough idea. And then I used a step drill bit to actually, I used a step drill bit to actually locate the hole. So it kind of cuts its way in and kind of finds the hole. And then once I did that, I went ahead and took the whole thing over to the bench here. And I went through and clamped everything down and transferred those holes onto the bed system, the bed support system. That's what I'm calling it. So this is something I created. This is not an off-the-shelf product. I would like to turn it into a product, but this essentially is just it's the best way that I thought, given our constraints with what we're building with in that area. We wanted to keep it extremely simple, and this is about the most simplistic way that I can boil it down and it still be something that I trust as far as, you know, supporting the bed system and being a nice looking install. So I transferred those holes to the main 1/2-inch Baltic birch, and then I went through. And after I did that, I came in and I cut a hole out for all of the EcoFlow and power cables. And then this is what it looked like when I did a test fit. So all the cables come out here. Now I did have to drill a, let's see what size hole that is. I wanted to only drill a 2.5-inch hole and then a 3-inch hole, and I ended up doing 3 5/8 inch, just because the issue was the EcoFlow cables are so chunky. And once you get about 2 or 3 in there, it's kind of hard to get the rest of the wires pulled through. Luckily, this will be upholstered, and then there's going to be a shelf come over here. The shelf is going to rest on the wheel well. We'll obviously insulate the wheel well and do sound dampening on it, but that shelf is going to come over here. The benefits of riv nutting this Baltic birch to the van, and then you see there's these 2 other holes. So those are 2 more holes that are pre-threaded that will also get a washer and a nut just to further reinforce this whole entire panel. So we'll have 6 riv nuts essentially holding this 1/2-inch Baltic birch to the side of the van. And we need that because we are going to be mounting the EcoFlow system over here on the left side. So that sits right above this shelf, and then this big hole is going into a box. And this box is going to be the box that all these cables are stowed into, because you ever need access to them. They'll be wrapped really neat in that box. And then the fuse panel will be on the exterior. So you won't be able to access it from the top. You'll actually need to remove the EcoFlow fuse box. So this is the, this right here is the fuse box that I'm talking about. So this box right here will have 4 screws. So this box, you can remove this box, and then you'll have access to this area with all these cables. And so this shelf on the right-hand side above the wheel well, the battery will rest right on that axle. So it's a good spot for the weight. Now the reason I wanted to have riv nuts going into the wall of the van is because not only will the battery be sitting on top of this wheel well over the axle, which again, good for weight balance, but we are, that is one compromise where we're taking the battery where technically you would want to put it on the ground, the floor. We are moving it up, so the center of gravity is going to be a little bit higher, but this is a 350 chassis, and I'm not really concerned with, you won't even notice it as far as this 1.5 kilowatt hour battery. So it's going to go on top of the wheel well, centered, and then it's going to be bolted to the wall right here where these rib nuts are. So that'll be nice, safe, and secure, and it's going to alleviate some space within this cargo area so that John and Susan can not only keep bikes in here, but have enough room over here for some storage of some more items. And then where this line that you see here, we'll have the EcoFlow right here, and then the battery is going to be right there. So yeah, I'll actually just sketch this really quick if you guys are curious what it actually will look like. So if we go, say after you build your camper van, does it need to get tested by someone to become road legal? There's not really a certification process. Basically what I do, I will personally drive and make sure like there's no rattles, I feel like the weight distribution is good, but that's just really my experience, stuff that I've tried in the past that I know didn't work versus what I know does work. For example, so to answer your question really quick, there's no road certification that I'm going to do for this van or that John and Susan will need for this van. And just not to get in the weeds really quick, but this van, what you'll want to do is there is a step-by-step process that I did with Thomas. He had Marine One van. So we went through his process to get it converted from a van to an RV for his insurance purposes. Because if you drive this van as is, it's insured as a cargo van. So the van's protected from a wreck or anything like that, but the insides of the van, which is your most expensive asset in this van, are not protected. So as with anything in insurance, you'll need to itemize all this. So what we did for his process, and I'll make this really short, is basically, we showed that he's got a portable toilet, he's got a bed system, he's got running water, ventilation, then electrical. I think there's a couple of things like that. So that's just a brief overview of how to insure the inside. So that's your insurance for your car insurance. Now, as far as anything else, the only other thing you're going to need to watch out for is your axle weight distribution. So this is actually a good time to ask that question, because I just went ahead and got the Adventure Van build weighed, because it is it's where it needs to be as far as there's not any how do I say this? There's no more weight that's going to be added to the van. So this is the number now that I'm working off of for that van. So the van that I'm talking about is where is my here? So this is the van that I'm talking about. So this is the Adventure Van build. So this van, let me pull this up really quick. Okay. So this is called a CAT scale weight certificate, and this is what you're going to want to make sure that you monitor as you utilize your van. One, I'll talk about the details in this, but one, when you're driving, just for safety, you want to make sure two things are always okay. So in here, in this paper, we have the steer axle and the drive axle. Your steer axle is the front of the car or of the van where the engine is, and there's a max rating that's safe for that to be loaded. But the drive axle in the rear is probably the one you want to look out for the most, because this one is the one that sometimes gets neglected. This cost $13.50, and it's the most important thing that you're going to get as you're driving on the road to make sure that your trip is safe and you have not your van is not overweight. I'm going to keep explaining this really quick. This is a very good topic. So I'm going to paste a link. I did a full video on this talking about, is your van too heavy? Let's see, weight. Let's see if I can get this. So this is okay, this link is coming through, and this is the video you want to watch. So the video is van weight, how to know what load is safe for your camper van. And so let's pull up this, let's look at this paper one more time. Let's see if I can turn down these lights for a second. There you go. So let's look at these two numbers. So right here we have, this is hard to do. There we go. So this 4,000, so we got 3860, 4780. The gross weight, 8,640 pounds. That's pretty heavy. The van that is the Adventure Van is rated for 9,500, but here's where it gets tricky. Even though this is under 9,500, your axles have an independent weight. So this is independent and this is independent. So let me go on my phone here, and I got a photo. Let me share the photo with you. So let me send this to myself and then we can actually go over this. Okay, let's download that. And then here we go. So let's rotate. Okay. So look at this. So this is, we're going to take this and translate it to the real van. So this is the van, that's the adventure van. So up here, we have GVWR of 9,500 pounds. So if we look on our piece of paper, right here we've got maybe it's easier way to do it. We got 8,640 pounds. So that's with the van loaded up. I've got food, water, sleeping bag, all this stuff for the expo, events, shows, flags, toolbox. So that's pretty loaded up. And I'm under 9,500 pounds. Okay, here is the final thing I'll talk about because it's the most important. So on here you have a front GAWR, and then you have this is gross axle weight rating. So we have 4,630 pounds. So all we got to do is go to this paper, and you can see steer axle 3,860. So we're safe there. And then if we come back over here, the next thing we're going to do is look at rear axle weight rating, 5,750. So if we come up here, we've got 4,780. So technically, we can load the rear axle up 1,000 more pounds, but guess what? That means we have to take weight off the front axle, because if we don't, we're going to be over. See, if we add another 1,000 pounds here, we'll be over 9,500 pounds. So just because both axles are below their max, you have to combine them and then double check it with your GVWR. And that's really important because this is, now, can the van drive and operate above that number? I'm sure it can. There's all kinds of tractor trailers and stuff, and there's a lot of stuff on the road that's driving overweight, which number one, it's illegal, but number two, it's really unsafe. So if you can keep it at that number or below, that's the safest way to operate your vehicle. So the suspension characteristics, the axle, the bearings, all the suspension, it's all designed to not be taxed below that number. Long story short, just don't go over that number, and go ahead and get you one of these. Again, it's $13.50. You can pull in to any travel truck stop. You just drive up the weights. Don't feel weird. Let me see if you know me, I gotta answer this question perfectly. Okay, so there's a way to get on the scales. Let's see here. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You've seen a bunch of trucks get on here. And there's the first section, there's a second section, and then the third and the fourth section. So each one of these measures an axle. So for the truck, a semi-truck, this first concrete block is a scale that measures its front axle weight. The second one measures the dual axles back here in the back. Then the third one, if they have like a drop axle, that'll measure the distribution, or if it's just a shorter truck. And then the final one usually is where the rear of the trailer is measured. And so all of that combined, they're always coming in and out of here because their loads change and shift, so they'll be loaded up from one company to the next company. And those companies are always estimating the weight of the freight or cargo that's put on the truck. And it's not always perfect, so it's up to the driver to make sure he's not overweight so he doesn't get a ticket. So when you pull your van up, your first axle, so the wheels underneath your engine, will go in this first section, and then this second section is where your rear axle is going to go. And that's how you can tell the difference between the two. I mean, you can use this scale for anything. I mean, anybody can go on the scale and just pay to get a ticket printed out. So like if you're hauling a trailer and you don't know how much weight you put on the trailer, you can just drive up. You'll have this little call box on the left-hand side, and then they're going to ask you if this is your first weigh or a reweigh. And you'll always say first weigh because you're not going back to the same location for any reason. So you'll say first weigh, and then they'll ask you for your number. You don't have one, so you just make up, just tell them your name. I just say Nick, and so they'll put it down as Nick, and then you go in the office, you pay your little fee, and then they'll print out this Catskills piece of paper, and you'll just know that you're safe going down the road. I guess the final thing about that is air tire pressure. You want to make sure your tires are, there is another sticker on the inside of the door. And let's see here. See if I can find that really quick. Okay, so inside your van, the manufacturer is going to have a sticker that looks like this. And the sticker is going to be placed right beside that same sticker that I just showed you with the weight ratings of your vehicle for your axles. So this other sticker is the tire and loading information. This is what you want to make sure not only is keeping your weight safe, this is also just paramount that you get this right, because this makes sure that your tires don't blow out, are not overheated, not overpressurized. And this number, this PSI, is how much pressure your tires need to be filled up to be able to hold the weight. So don't think of your car tires as being something that just needs air, and it's a thing that just needs air. So as long as it has some air, it's fine. It's not true. Passenger car tires are usually around the 35 PSI range. But for vans, you have something called a E-load sized tire. So the E-load range tires are much different. And you're going to be looking at something that is working in more of the 75 PSI range. So, trying to see if I can find an example. See, door sticker, let's do Ford Transit. Yeah. Yeah, I should have given you one of my examples. The point is, this one right here says, come on. Okay, so this one, your front, rear, spare. I'm trying to find a better image. Here we go. Okay, so this is for a 150 chassis. So yours, if you have a bigger chassis, these numbers are going to be higher. But this is for my personal van. So the front tires want to have, from the manufacturer, 57 psi, and the rear want to be at 64 psi. Now these numbers also correspond to your tire pressure monitoring system, so TPMS sensors. So those are within your tires, and that is when it says, if your dash says your tires are low, it's gone below these values. And something I found out just the other week ago, the spare tire also has a sensor. So if you've aired up all your tires and the light's still on, check your spare tire, because the spare tire may have gotten low over time, and that's throwing that sensor to be off. But these tires also have a combined weight rating. And the combined weight rating, by the way, is not just the van. It's the weight of the van and the occupants and the cargo. So weight, so it's everything. It's whatever you're putting in the van to make it weigh more. So there's a max number. So you just need to make sure you're not going over that. Yeah, that was a great question. Yeah, great question. Great question. Yeah, so that is how you stay safe with your van. Let's get this light back on. So let's get back to what we're building in the van. So we're going to get to. All right, let me finish my photos here. Oh yeah, I was going to draw really quick. I'm going to draw this really quick. So what we have is the back of the Ford Transit, and this is that wall panel that we've fabricated. And then we're going to cut this down 1 inch so that our window the reveal for our window will look right. So let's draw in blue what we're going to build for the EcoFlow. So we're going to build a box over the wheel well. We're not doing this today, but this is what we're probably doing next week. So the box over the wheel well, so that'll enclose the whole entire wheel well, and it'll look something like that. And then what we'll have is we'll have the EcoFlow. We'll have the box right here. This is going to be all of our breakers, our switches, and then our fuses and stuff like that. So that's that box that's over here. So that box will be here, and then under the bed we'll have the main EcoFlow system, and then beside it right here we're going to have the big old EcoFlow battery. And then we're going to have the battery cable come up here. It's going to go into its corresponding spot, and then we'll have a hole in the bottom where all the wires will just neatly come out. And this is the Eco. There's the battery. And again, for this whole weight distribution thing, this is our axle right here. And so this, we're making sure that our battery is not too far back. So it's right over the axle. Right there is technically where the axle is. So that's okay. And again, you have a bunch of different vans. So my personal van's a 150 chassis. You have a 250 model. And then John and Susan's is the big old 350. So with what's going in their van, they have tons of room. So that's that scenario, and then let's see here. So in red, we're going to have 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are going to be the bed brackets. So they're going to go into that panel. That's why it's important that we come over here and we have these riv nuts securing this board. So we'll have 1, 2, there'll be one behind the battery here and then one right there. Actually, right there, and then these are a little bit lower, right there. They're not going to be part of the battery, but what they'll do is they'll reinforce that bracket that we use to strap down the battery. And then, when we're all done, we'll have these cross members like this. So this will be for the bed system. And then John and Susan will have a mattress that goes on top of here. And we're going to be using a 6-inch mattress. It'll be 60 by 74 inches, 6 inches thick. And so this will make sure that this right here is nice and even. It'll be lower. This is not drawn to scale. It's just so you guys can get an idea of how this whole thing's gonna work out. So that'll be our bed. All right, that's the plan. So let's actually get some work done. Okay. Let's get in the van. Did I have any more photos? I think that's it. Let's realign this camera. Okay, so I've got a piece of fabric here. And I had to make a big cut for this panel, because this panel was much longer than this fabric is wide. So you try not to waste fabric. So we're just going to put this up here. And then if you want a little secret, so we're getting into upholstery mode now, if you guys are wondering. So there's make these really strong magnets that are rubber coated. And I can just put this up here, and then now I can actually hold this so it's not doing weird stuff on me. Okay, so I don't need it that low. Be careful, because this part of the van that we're working on right now, it's extremely sharp. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting this into position so that I can use the door to scribe where I want this to go. This. This is all just temporary. It's just me. I'm doing this because when I go to actually spray the adhesive on here, I don't waste a bunch of adhesive because we're upholstering a lot of stuff in this van, and the adhesive is going quickly. Okay, that looks pretty good. So what we're going to do is this section right here is going to be upholstered all the way over here, and then we'll have a neat little connecting strip right here to finish that off. But what I'm doing now is I'm going to just cut here from the outside, and then I'll just put a bunch of adhesive on the back, bring it back in, and then we'll stick it up. I'm gonna bring my phone inside just in case you guys have any more questions. Yeah, that first question was a fantastic question. Because I think a lot of people don't realize, or they're just unaware that nobody's ever told them what, how weight distribution works, or if you're overweight. Another thing is, when you get into loading up your roof of your van, that's the other dangerous part, is over your roof weight. So Ford Transits have a kind of a sliding scale when it comes to roof weight. If you have a low roof, you obviously have much lower center of gravity. You can put a little bit more weight on your roof. And don't quote me on this, but I think the low roof is like around 500 pounds, and then medium roof is like about 350 or something like that. And then when you get it to the high roof, I think a little less than 300 is your max. Let's see, how much do I want to come over here? Now there's some holes that I need to come back to over here. These 4. And I need to do that. So what I've done is I've got tape up here. Let me know where these holes are. Because these holes I'm going to, I'm actually going to drill them out. No, I'll drill them out afterwards. That's what I did the other side. Okay, now we're just going to get some adhesive on here. Be off camera for just a minute. The adhesive I'm using is Super 77. All right, we're coming back in the van. All right, we got another question here. Let's see. Let's see here. All right, so one question. I think RV slides play a giant role in RVing, more like a semi-full-time approach. I'm not a camper van builder myself, but would like to see more camper vans with slides. So there's one camper van that has a slide out on the back. Well, actually, it's not a slide out. It's like more like a fold-down pop-up tent. And so that is Embassy RV. Embassy RV, they've got a prototype where the back folds down, and then there's like a tent that gets built out. So check out them, Embassy RV. So what am I doing to the van? I am upholstering the columns in the van to hide the seam that's created when panels go on top of the van. There's a gap in between the panels. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm changing over on my adhesive. I'm going to be using this stuff called Foam Fast 74 from 3M. Because the stuff that I'm using is it's really good. It's just really messy and it makes it harder to work with. So, all right. By the way, I'm using nitro gloves. The pro tip using nitro gloves is they do not, the adhesive does not stick to them, which is pretty wild. I know it sounds impossible, but it's true. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm making sure that my floor, this is nice and even with the floor, so I can conceal all of this as much as possible. Okay. There we go. So I got way too much adhesive on my gloves, so I will have to change my gloves, but it helped me get it on the van without getting it all over my hands. Let's see here. Let's get you guys a better angle of video. Hold on. All right. There you go. Awesome. Glad you got your van. That is really cool. Getting the van is the first step. So, what kind of van did you get? Let me know what kind of van you got. By the way, you don't have to have an adventure van. You don't have to have a fancy van. Any van, you can build in any van. Okay. Yeah, so this one I loaded up with, let me get my phone so I can see your questions. Oh yeah, ProMaster. Nice. Nice. I would say ProMasters are. I want to do a ProMaster build. Because ProMasters, I think, are a great DIY van as long as you understand about their off-road capabilities. So if you're not wanting to 4x4 off-road, all that good stuff, I think they're great. The walls are very high. Very wide, and that allows you to have a good sleeping area. They're very straight and vertical. That helps on construction, makes it more simple to work with instead of these curved walls on a Ford Transit. Yeah, easy to build in. When you put your heater in, the fuel tank access is really nice. Easy to access. Okay. I'm working a little too fast being on camera, so I wanted to do a couple things here. Okay, I need to make a couple markings. I've got these two. Yeah, I started out building Transit, and I'm not picking on Transits. I like Transits, but I mean, I'll build anything. The van I started with a Transit, and it was just kind of an easy transition. You know, when you start a business, you want to kind of play things in your favor, or plan things in your favor, and that was one of them, was sticking with the Ford Transit platform. But as far as me as a builder, I mean, everything to me is kind of like Legos. So, metal's metal, van's a van, wood is wood. But yeah, ProMasters, I think the price point's really good, whether you buy new or used. And not only that, but there's actually a lot of stuff being created for ProMaster specifically. And if you're wondering what I'm doing right now, any type of air penetrations I like to seal up in a van. So this just stops that air from going from the chamber inside the van to the any other parts of the van. Plus, the benefit is it smooths the install of this upholstery. It keeps it from going into the little holes in here. Now you can do foam, Landau foam underneath this. It's definitely not cost effective in my opinion, because labor-wise, I'm not talking about the product, but labor-wise, for me to do that, it's as if I'm upholstering the van twice. So that's one reason we're not doing it on this build, but I don't think there's a real benefit, especially when you're doing wall panels, because you know, that's a surface you're really not going to be in contact that much with. And the fact that we're stuffing all these cavities and everywhere with Havelock, tons of Havelock wool. Yeah, I don't think it is necessary. For the Mercedes 170 is perfect. Also big market. Yeah, Mercedes is too. I tried to get a couple of Mercedes when I first started because I wanted to do that, but they were the Ford Transit all-wheel drive was more. I couldn't get the. I wanted to build adventure vans. That's what I build adventure vans. The one that's currently for sale is adventure van, and to get a 4x4 Sprinter was really challenging when I started. And the all-wheel drive Ford Transit, it was also a challenge to get, and so I got that instead of the Mercedes. I also saw some nice Mercedes for sale, but I figured I'd go the more cheapy route for the first time. Yeah, I mean, Mercedes are nice, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about. I mean, I don't think you're really compromising anything with getting a ProMaster, a Transit, or like to me they're kind of all the same. Sprinter has changed over to a all-wheel drive chassis, and to my knowledge they're not making the true 4x4 anymore anyway. So that kind of levels the playing field between the Sprinter and the Transit. Transit has the EcoBoost V6 option, so that's going to give you the most power, although Sprinter just came out with their new turbocharged 4-cylinder, which that's not new, but it's a new engine, to my knowledge. So they had a turbocharged 4-cylinder before, but this one is the newer version. So fully electric build, yeah, MK, tell me about your fully electric build. Are you talking about power system? What kind of power system do you want to put in your van? So if you guys are wondering, we're doing the EcoFlow Power Kit. I think it's called the Independence Kit. It's, let's see, what is that? It is It's a 5,000 kilowatt hour system. Okay. Do one more. If you guys are doing any upholstery and you have just a slight pause like I did, you don't have to do this, but I found that this is a very good thing to do after I put my gloves back on. But you just want to kind of hit this with a little bit of adhesive just to kind of wake it back up. Even though this is super sticky, I don't like taking any chances. So we're just kind of doing a little bit of wake up here. Now just kind of spritz this. I don't need to put Havelock in here. So. All right. See, go for the one giant floor battery. Yeah, I think Lithionics right now makes one of the highest capacity batteries. They're extremely expensive, but they're also UL listed, which is it's a pretty nice feature they got going on, our certification. You don't want to go too crazy in this area or these areas, because in the event that you need to get your door worked on or fixed by Ford, those are some areas that, unfortunately we would have to remove a bunch of stuff, but that is the way custom vans work. Is if you want the custom van, there are some compromises. It's very rare. I mean, I haven't had any issues with my van for 4 years now. So, all right. So we've got that taped off. Need to go ahead and cut this out because I will forget to come back here. So I'm just gonna cut this little window out. See, I'm going to cut that like that. There you go. Okay, I'm going to Just lay it out nice and even. Be careful, there's all these slivers of metal and they will cut the heck out of your finger. When we get to these door areas, we need to make sure we cut some relief cuts, but not too aggressively because it won't cover what we want it to cover. Yeah, so I am putting something over this. This is not the final thing. I'm treating it like the final thing because I have a couple of reveal areas. So this is a reveal area right here. But this whole panel will be covering this section, so you won't see any of this. This will be covered with a panel. So the seam down here this is all to hide or conceal the white painted metal from the panel that will be going on top of this. For example, this panel is going to be going over all of this. So right here, so you got a lot of curve. So this will be concealing this whole thing. There'll be a panel here, and then obviously a panel here. So if you get any adhesive somewhere you don't want it to be, we'll just use some denatured alcohol. They do make a specific adhesive remover. You could also use that if you wanted to. But anytime you do what I just did, you need to wait a solid minute for it to do its off-gassing, and then you can go back to it. So that's why it's nice to just come back over here and start working on something that you needed to go back to. Oh no, we're insulating this. So this chamber right here, this is the hole we are going to stuff insulation all the way down in here. You'll see this in this video today. We've done it all on the driver's side. Over here we're going to do sound deadening first, and then we'll cover it with, we're going to stuff Havelock wool in there. So again, this chamber here, this will be stuffed down into the chamber. There's no access to that right here. So, but no, we'll definitely be doing that. Now, I'm just putting this in here because it's not going to hurt anything. If anything, it's going to help with even more sound deadening. So you don't have to, you can cut this off pretty much here. I just know that, you know, a little bit of extra fabric inside the panel, it's not going to hurt anything. Just don't cut the metal when you do this. Yeah, but nobody's gonna see this, what I'm doing here. It's all gonna be hidden. I am gonna cut this off because the sound deadening that we have is gonna go right here. But these pieces of tape reference these holes right here, so I can remember them. Okay. All right, so we're going to come back up here to where our adhesive has off-gassed. Yeah, you don't want to forget about these areas because you got a couple minutes before the adhesive tacks up. This area is going to be completely covered by the kitchen galley, but if you can spend just a little bit of extra time here, you really can make this just a super nice install. Well, I like just doing a really good job on this on the inside. Again, even though you can't see it, it's just more practice. So you can practice in an area with compound curbs where you're not going to see it. That way, when you get to a place where you need to have the skills to do this type of work, you'll have already practiced, and it won't be a challenging thing to do. You'll have confidence. And really just this corner right here, the panel is coming over here, so I just need to make sure that this this part right here was look nice. when I get the panel, it'll all make sense here in a second. So this part right here is going to take a lot of convincing. You got to really work this fabric in this corner. We can cut a little bit more relief cuts, but let's see here. I live in Florida, and I'm going to be sleeping in the van mostly in the day, so I'd like it to be quiet. That's a good point. So when I did the Adventure Wagon install, although I knew that I did a bunch of sound deadening, until I hung out in the van at the expo one night, I didn't realize what a huge difference it makes just being able to relax in a quiet van. So not road noise. I'm talking about what you're talking about. I'm talking about the outside noise when you're parked in like an RV park or something like that. So MK says, it always depends on how much real estate you're willing to give up for insulation, because you can make it as quiet as you want, like no sound whatsoever. It's true. I don't know if you would want to make it too quiet. It'd be like a sound isolation chamber or something like that. Oh, the details. The detail stuff takes a minute. So while we're letting that work for a second, take this off. So this will be control panel, heater controls, all that stuff will be up there. Yeah, this part right here is tough. The main reason it's tough is because I know this is going to be a spot you can see. Yeah, more insulation will keep the van cooler, but there's a point, especially if you live in Florida, van AC is not like your normal household AC, especially if you're in a very humid environment. It's just the amount of oomph that it takes to actually, cool a wet air is challenging. So I'm in North Carolina. That's where the shop's located. So this channel is Van Builder HQ, so this is a channel to teach you guys how to build. Odyssey Custom Vans is the actual van business. So, for example, John and Susan, this is their van. And so they, Odyssey Custom Vans, so me, that's what's building their van. But I showcase everything on the YouTube channel. So if that, so if you go to odysseycustomvans.com, that is the business website. That's where you would inquire or do an inquiry for if you wanted me to build your van. That's where you would go. Okay, this curve right here is being a pain in the butt. Yeah, so in there's the link in the description, it should go to, oh, so check this out. Let me hop onto here really quick. So this is where you want to go if you want to get in contact with me and do a custom build. I currently have an adventure van for sale as of filming this, and this is the build right here. These pictures were taken a couple weeks ago, so there's, I installed some vinyl graphics. They're not on here right now. But this is the link where you want to click on, and that way you can get in touch with me. If you, if you want to do a van build. Now remember, this van is not an adventure van. So there's all kinds of different vans that I build. I like adventure vans, but the same thing, like I'm giving you advice on ProMasters and stuff like that, I'm 100% open to doing those as well. But this is my info. And then if you guys want a nice piece of free help, I have a DIY van build cheat sheet, and it's an Excel sheet of the last 3 years of all of my Amazon purchases organized. It's completely free to download. All you do is click on the link, you put your name and email address, it'll come right to your inbox, and it's just a way to help you guys kind of get kick-started. It's got a bunch of solar panels, wires, cables, fuses, water pumps, tools, some weird tools that I use in the shop that were hard to find, but I put them on this list to help you out. So it's over 250 items on this list. It's always growing. But yeah, check it out. I'll put the link to that in the description as well. And yeah, download that. You can definitely get subscribed to the channel if you guys find this video helpful. And yeah, so I go live during the week. So if you're ever needing some advice or something to, if you just ask questions, just like exactly like we're doing right now. This is a perfect example of what I do. Yep, and I went to the wrong camera. Where's the other camera? There you go. Yeah, we're in the home stretch with this van, so you're going to see a bunch of live streams on this van. So sometimes upholstery is a lot of fun, and then sometimes it is challenging. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm fixing this radius here on the van. So we have a nice radius, but we're having to re-glue it because there's a backing that's on upholstery. So what it does is it helps the glue not permeate to the other side. And I think this is a time where I actually put too much adhesive. And what it did was it caused the backing, when I adjusted it, to actually come off, which I actually didn't think was possible. So basically the backing came off that held the adhesive, so now I'm re-gluing it and re-adhering it to the van. So even though you've built vans for a minute, you can always learn new things. You guys can tell I'm a details person, so if I can't get this right, I'll stick on it until I get it right. Because if you're right here at the kitchen galley, I don't want you to look at something or happen to go by it and see something that doesn't look how I would approve, what I would approve. Okay, there we go. All good. Now we can come across here. Also, always keep your razor blades sharp. Always break out that blade for a new one. That is the key to pro job. All right, that's it. Man, we are looking good. So now we'll just, now I'm taking the back of these scissors. I just like to do this. It has a nice profile. And I'm just coming by and gently just giving it a nice positive, like rounding over. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to take a small section of upholstery, and we can probably use, yeah, I don't want to reuse this. We're going to use a fresh piece. Let's get a fresh piece of fabric. Tell you something that's funny is I have 5 razor blades. And one day I have 5, and then one day I have 0. I don't understand how it's possible. They never leave the shop, but they all kind of get lost together. I'm not sure. I don't know how that works. All right, so this next gap. So if you have a seam like this, a lot of people like to fold the seam under. And I don't like to do that. I like to just put a lot of adhesive and then do a flat seam. I understand the logic behind folding the seam over, but if you think about it, a lot of things in the world are how somebody else did it in the past. You know, it's not been changed or innovated on. Now, some things in the past are good to repeat, but I think exploring a new way to do something is also good. So, yeah, so I just take this and then, here, I'll show you. So I just take this, and then what I do is I cut a extremely precise seam, and then, oh, good question. So, odor with fabric. So if you can, I would always lean towards cooking outside of your van. You can definitely cook inside your van, but having proper ventilation, like this van, we've got a nice max fan. We've got 2 windows, and we're going to have actually another window installed in the sliding door. So we've got tons of ventilation, but you know, keep your door open. Excuse me, keep your door open. Just lots of ventilation. You're really trying to control that type of stuff. This fabric I'm using is Marathon fabric. It's very resilient. Now, I'm not really suggesting this, I'm just telling you what I've done in the past. Is I have to clean this with denatured alcohol lightly on the surface. You don't want to do that too much because you'll, you know, soften up the adhesive on the back. But in my van, I think I got something on something and I got it off. But you know, it's just like a house. You know, if you burn something in the house on the stove, you know, you kind of smell it for a couple of days and then it kind of goes away. So just keeping stuff ventilated is, I think that's probably the most important. Good ventilation. So again, this is the adhesive I'm using. So Super 77. I will be changing over to, let's see if I can find it. Oh, it arrives at 9 p.m. today. All right. So I'm going to be changing over to this. Yeah, treat it like a house. It is your house. It's your home on wheels. Yeah, so this this 3M Foam Fast. It's called Foam Fast because it's designed for not dissolving foam, but what I'm actually using right here, the 77 is designed for foam as well. But the 74, haven't used it yet, but the guy from AVC Rig, who I always mention, that's what he does all of his upholstery with. And it looks like a much neater spray pattern. It's more visible. It's like an orange color, so you can visually indicate where you're spraying it. This is clear. You just kind of guessing until it builds up. But yeah, this Foam Fast, actually, so and it's a little bit cheaper, so yeah. All right, our other piece is ready. So let's go ahead and pick it up. And you want to let this off gas for like a minute. Do not install it unless you've let it set for a second, because it just won't be good. All right, so I'm going to put this here right on top of that. All right. So my gloves got way too much stuff on it, so we got to toss them. Watch out for all the spot weld slag on here, because it will slice your finger open. I've got my finger cut open. I can't even tell you how many times. And it's like that. It's that really deep cut. I mean, that really sharp cut. So it seems to like never want to stop bleeding. Sorry, hope you guys aren't queasy. All right. Okay, so I just like this method better. It's what I prefer. Because the fold behind, it just looks too pronounced to me. Okay. I'm gonna bring you guys into the van more. Get you a better experience here. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Excuse the mess on the table saw. Everything's a work in progress here. Let's see here. So what I'm doing is I just got this razor blade, and you see I'm just cutting off the excess. And I move the camera because the satisfying part is coming up right now. So this is something when you build vans that is your most favorite part about building the van. And that is covering your work with the trim. And it helps you conceal that edge. I gotta be careful, this tape is identifying where my cuts for the drilling the riv nut holes are gonna be. You see, we spent our time, took our time, and we did this install with patience, and we got a really good result. Okay, so that is, that's how you have that nice, clean transition. Now remember, this panel is gonna go on top of there like that. So we did all that work just for this, but it's worth it, trust me. It's worth it to have that nice clean edge. Before I forget, yeah, you'll see this like 1 inch reveal. But the panel over here, for example, let's just see how much it covers. And if you guys stick with this series, we're gonna get to all this. So this panel will come, and this is probably the bigger reason that we're doing this. And see, this panel is only going to cover that much. So this is all revealed. So that's why we did that nice, neat work right here. And then this seam right here. So this will be upholstered, but this will be exposed. So next, since we're over here, we need to, there's some things you don't want to go to the next part because you'll forget where these locations were. So right now I'm just poking and making these holes where this tape was. And that's because these are the holes that I need to drill out. You got 1, 2, 3. This is for a shelf. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I only got 4. This is the weird tool that I was talking to you guys about. Actually, let's get you more into the van. Can you do that throughout the entire van, exposing more of the fabric in the background? Like take a tour of the van? Like go around stuff I've already done? Or are you saying, can you do it to your van? Here, I'll do that first. Let's go over here. So on this side, do you see the seam? So the seam right there, it's almost impossible to see. I mean, this is kind of overkill. This is just, for me, this is how I build a professional van, is to make sure that these details are taken care of. But you technically don't have to do that if you have a panel that's going to. So, okay, when building your van, yeah, you can do that throughout the entire van. To be honest, my personal van, if you see this fabric on the little Ford Blob over here on the left, I did, let's see, we're designing it. Yeah, you can, so hopefully this is going to answer your question. You can just do fabric over the metal on more of the panels, or more of the sheet metal, and not the panels. So, and something I say all the time is there's no rules. So if there's something you want to do that you think looks good, you can do it. So for example, if you wanted to take this all the way up and do this in one panel, you could do that. Or you could take it up to here and then have a panel. To be honest, all this is right here, this is just for looks. This is just simply for looks. It's not enough to actually do anything or provide any like thermal, thermal value. The value is in this Havelock wool. So it's in this stuff being stuffed inside of here, creating that that airspace. And then back here, this tinty sound, we're going to use sound deadening material to actually sound deaden that. So right now I'm going to install 4 rib nuts. I need to do this because I need to prep this panel so that I know where these holes are going to be drilled. And so I just want to go ahead and get it out of the way because, let's see, and have the insulation in the panel parts. Yeah, yep. Okay, so you have to be extremely careful when you drill like this because you don't want the drill to grab and then go through the van. Now, it looks like I might drill into some wires. The lip is right here, so this is below the lip. So we're just going to slowly get in here. And we're just widening the hole. There's already a hole there. And by the way, this is boron steel, so it destroys your drill bits. So you'll just need to be aware that if you're drilling in this, you really need a solid carbide drill bit. Not a carbide tipped, but solid carbide. I have one, but I'm trying to, this actually worked the other day. All right, I might have to switch to the other one. Okay, so for these holes, maybe I will change over to a 1/4 rivet. Eh. Yeah, these holes are just impossible to drill sometimes. I may move on to something else. I'm going to try one more drill bit. All right, guys. Let me hop back over here to this. All right, I'm gonna grab something to eat. I'm going to sharpen these drill bits off camera. I'm gonna sharpen 3 of them, so hopefully I can make it through those 4 holes. It takes about 3 drill bits to get to that steel. It's that terribly rough. But in the meantime, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Check out Van Builder HQ. This website also has not only this cheat sheet that's free to download, but it has all these blog posts. So all these events that I've gone to, these are, all this stuff. So my name is Nick Eilerman. If you see this, it says Jamie Eilerman. That's my brother. He does the editing as far as the blog and putting all this together. So that's why you'll see him. So he travels with me to go to these events, and we find out all kinds of stuff on vans and all that good stuff. So check it out, and then don't forget to check out Odyssey Custom Vans. If you guys want to do a custom van build, just head over there. Click the contact page or contact and schedule a call with me. I'd be happy to talk to you about a custom build. But I will be back this afternoon with another live stream. So click that notification bell so you guys do not miss when I go live again this afternoon. I'm just going to grab some lunch, sharpen some drill bits, get prepped for another live stream, and we'll see you guys back on the channel in just a minute. So we'll see you in a few.